It's 1917, the U.S. has just entered World War I, and suddenly the land of the free goes full tilt paranoid. Get ready for a tale that puts even the craziest reality TV show to shame. We're diving headfirst into the anti-German hysteria that swept the nation faster than you can say Guten Tag. In the 19th century, around 5 million Germans immigrated to America, setting up shop mainly in the Midwest. They became the largest immigrant group, flourishing as farmers, skilled tradespeople, and professionals. Fast forward to the early 1900s, and these German Americans were highly respected community members, the kind you would invite to your backyard barbecue for their epic potato salad. But when the war started, all of that camaraderie went right out the window. A wave of paranoia turned German Americans into the targets of intense scrutiny and distrust. Now, across the pond in Great Britain, things were getting a little weird as well. Given its reputation as the home of spy fiction, British society was obsessed with the idea of espionage. Even before the war, it was assumed that Germany had an army of spies lurking in every shadow. When the war began, the British public eagerly joined the media's witch hunt for German spies. Now, German archives reveal that at least 120 spies were sent to Britain at some point during the First World War. MI5 caught about 65 of them, and according to MI5, there was no convincing evidence that any of the remaining spies ever sent back intelligence to Germany. Now, on one hand, the hysteria made a bit of sense. The German army was making swift advances in Belgium and France, fueling a general fear of invasion. On the other hand, the British needed a scapegoat for their military setbacks, and they found it in anyone with an uncertain background, or in artists or people with bohemian or different lifestyles. However, the primary targets of suspicion were the 50,000 people of German origin living in Britain. Accusations flew of espionage, sabotage, and even food poisoning. Anti-German riots broke out in October 1914, and there was a nasty twist by mixing in anti-Semitic overtones as well. It's like a bad spy novel, except real people were getting hurt. Now, not to be outdone, France was also gripped by spy fever. With Germany targeting France at the start of the war, the French were on high alert for German spies, sabotaging war mobilization and supply lines. This paranoia peaked in the war's early months, egged on by the press. German companies in France were accused of distributing rotten goods and hoarding materials crucial for the war effort. Wild tales of German agents organizing sabotage on railways or signaling German troops with light signals were running rampant. By late August 1914, panic had gripped the French government as the fall of Paris and German occupation seemed imminent. Finding ourselves once again stateside, this feverish paranoia manifested in some truly bizarre ways. Newspapers began renaming diseases. German measles became Liberty measles because nothing says freedom like a rash. Dachshund dogs, they got a patriotic makeover as Liberty Pups. And German Shepherds, well, they were transformed into the more menacing Alsatian wolf dogs. And it didn't stop there. Bars kicked out pretzels like they were freeloading ex-boyfriends. Sauerkraut was rebranded as Liberty Cabbage, hamburgers as Liberty Steaks, and Frankfurters became, yes, Liberty Sausages. That is until someone had the genius idea to shorten that mouthful down to just hot dogs. Yep, that's how we got the name for those delicious little wieners we love to have at the ballpark. It came as part of the great rebranding of World War I. And you know things are getting crazy when towns began to change their name, like Germania, Iowa, changing its name to Lakota in 1917. Outdoor concerts, picnics, beer were suddenly seen as a threat to the moral fabric of the nation, thanks to the stern disapproval of Protestant groups pushing for strict blue laws. Anyone living in a blue law state to this day can attest to some of that silliness. Remember this blast from the past? That time in 2003 when a North Carolina fast food joint rechristened French fries as Freedom Fries to stick it to France for not supporting the Iraq War. The patriotic name change even made it to the House of Representatives cafeteria. This seemingly silly gesture was actually a nod to the over-the-top rebranding antics from nearly a century prior, proving that when it comes to renaming foods for political reasons, America has always been creative and quirky. The pushback on German culture continued with the music of German greats like Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms vanishing from concert halls and schools as if they were a bad Spotify recommendation. The teaching of the German language was banned, forcing German language newspapers to switch to English or shut down. Thousands of German immigrants were pressured into proving their loyalty by buying war bonds, of course called Liberty Loans. The great rebranding of World War I had lasting effects on the German-American culture, and as the guns of the Great War fell silent in 1918, the echoes of anti-German sentiment continued to reverberate across America. But culture, like water, finds a way to flow. And by the 1920s, an unlikely ally had emerged in the form of Prohibition. As speakeasies flourished in the shadows, they became an unexpected sanctuary for German beer culture. The art of brewing, deeply rooted in German tradition, refused to die, adapting instead, with German brewers turning their skills to new ventures like ice cream or near beer, keeping their craft alive until better days. The 1930s ushered in a cautious resurgence in some communities. The sounds of German festivals could once again be heard. Sadly, the storm clouds of World War II once again darkened the door on German-American culture, facing challenges as Nazi Germany casts its long and dark shadow. It took a while for German-American culture to bounce back after the World Wars. The community had to shake off the stigma, dust off traditions, and find a new groove in American society. But the 1950s and 60s brought a different story. German-American societies were on the rise once again, bringing the festive spirit of Oktoberfest to cities everywhere. And before long, schnitzels and sauerkraut were back on dinner tables from coast to coast. By the 70s, what was once kept quiet was now proudly displayed. German heritage became a celebrated piece of America's multicultural puzzle. In schools and universities, the German language was once again eagerly embraced. And some traditions stuck around like old friends, while others got a makeover, blending right into the American way of life. Take Christmas trees and Easter bunnies, once uniquely German, now as American as apple pie. And yes, you can thank Germany for the Christmas tree tradition dating back to the 16th century. Records even show that folks were decking the halls with greenery as far back as the 15th and 16th centuries. Fast forward to today, and German-American heritage is a vibrant thread in the tapestry of American identity. It's a testament to how our cultural identity is never set in stone, and like water, will find a way to flow. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Hit the subscribe button and ring that notification bell to catch new episodes of Boots on the Hill.